Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into something, well, really quite captivating, especially if you're into home decor or maybe some clever DIY. It's a unique decorative plaster technique called the galaxy map.
So, our mission today, we're going to pull out the key steps, the clever little hacks involved, and basically the whole process for creating this amazing plaster effect. We want to make it super clear for you, whether you're like a DIY pro hunting for new ideas, or maybe you're just curious about how everyday stuff can be turned into something cool. Get ready for some real aha moments here, because this technique involves some pretty unexpected tools, some smart thinking, and really specific choices about materials that make it stand out. So let's get right into it. Phase one, the foundation tools, materials, that first layer. Okay, so to get this galaxy map look, you actually start with something probably lying around your shed or garage. Regular plastic brooms, yep, you heard me, plastic brooms, the kind with those stiff plastic bristles.
Usually, for sweeping outside, the video uses two of them, different sizes, which is important. But you don't just grab them and start. Oh no. There's this really ingenious modification first. You drill 3 holes in each broom handle. Then you stick in self-tapping screws. And here's the clever bit. One screw sticks out just a little. That acts as your pivot point, so you can fix the broom to the wall, spin it around, and bam, you get those cool circular patterns. The galaxy map look, it's surprisingly simple but really effective. Turns a broom into an art tool, basically. Okay, now the plaster itself. The video mostly talks about rod band, which is like a gypsum-based plaster, but it also mentions you could use starter putty, they name drop the Martin brand, or really any plaster that's good for applying thickly. But it's not just what you can use. There's a big warning about what not to use.
Right, and this is, absolutely critical. Understanding your materials is key here. The tutorial is super clear. Finish putty is a no-go for this technique. And the reason, well, it goes back to basic plaster properties. Finish putty is made for thin, smooth coats. Skim coating, basically. It's not designed to build up the thickness, the volume you need for these galaxy map circles to actually have depth and texture. If you tried it with finish putty, you just get, well, nothing much. Maybe fate marks. You need that body. This isn't just a tip for this specific technique. It's like a fundamental thing in plasterwork. Material dictates method.
That's a really vital point. Yeah, knowing your materials is definitely half the battle, isn't it? So you've got your modified brooms, you've got the right kind of plaster rod band or starter putty. Now, the actual application, the video says apply it in small sections, like maybe 1 square meter, 1.5 square meters at a time. And this is really important. Do not try and plaster, say, 5 square meters all at once and then do the pattern. Why? Because this stuff, rod band, starter putty, it sets up pretty quick. If you cover too big an area, it'll start drying out before you get your broom on it, and then the brush just drags the drying plaster around. It becomes difficult, messy, and the finish looks, uneven. Terrible. So yeah, small, manageable sections, that's a way to go for a smooth process. Keep it controlled. Right, so once you've got your plaster on a section, you decide how big you want your circle, plant that broom on the wall using the pivot screw, and just rotate it. Creates that cool galaxy map swirl. Any little lumps or bits of extra plaster left behind, don't sweat it. You can just scrape those off easily later on. Oh, and another really good tip from the video. Keep those broom bristles clean as you go. If plaster builds up on the bristles, it messes with the pattern. Makes it less sharp, kind of blurry. So, quick rinse or wipe now and then. Clean brush, crisp circles. The video also mentions this part. Making the circles, it's actually pretty creative. And could even be like a group thing. Get a few people working on different sections at once. Could be fun, actually. And hey, if you mess one up, like a circle goes wonky or you just don't like it, no big deal. Think of it like sketching. You can just smooth it over with your spatula right then and there and just do it again. It's pretty forgiving at this stage.
And if we think about the bigger picture here, that advice works small. Fix mistakes quickly. It all comes back to what's called the open time of these materials. Your rod band, your starter putties, they generally give you maybe 30, 40 minutes before they really start to firm up. Maybe less, depending on conditions. Understanding that window isn't just like a helpful hint. It's fundamental. It explains why you need to work methodically, section by section. It's not just faster, it's necessary for quality. Respect the material's limits,
That's a great way to put it. Respect the material. Makes sense. Now, because you're doing this by hand, no guides or anything, some bits might naturally be a bit thicker or thinner. The video says, yeah, that's totally normal. Don't stress about making it perfectly flat like a sheet of glass. But there's an easy fix if something looks too uneven, if an area feels too thin compared to the rest. Just slap a bit more plaster on that spot and give the broom another spin right over it. You can adjust it on the fly, and design-wise, total freedom. Pretty much. You can make the circles overlap for this really dense layered effect, or you could leave gaps between them for a different look. whatever you think looks good in your space. And it works great in corners and along edges too. Really versatile. Okay, so fast forward. Your plaster is completely dry, and you've got to be patient here. Let it cure properly. Now we move from, like, the messy creation part to the refinement. First thing, grab a spatula. You're going to gently scrape off any sharp edges or little crusty bits. The video calls them burrs or pebbles left by the broom. Just smooth things out a little. Then sanding time. The tutorial suggests using abrasive mesh, like a #123 grit, or similar sandpaper works too. Pay extra attention to those spots where the pivot screws were. Sometimes they leave a tiny little bump of rod band. The sanding, absolutely crucial. You don't want your finished wall feeling, prickly or rough when you touch it. You want it smooth. Feels nice, looks better. Right after you're done sanding, the next step is super important but easy to overlook. Clean that wall thoroughly. Get all the dust off, every speck. Use a vacuum, damp cloth, whatever works, because any dust left behind will stop the primer and wax sticking properly later. It messes up the adhesion. So yeah, clean is key. And now we get to the really artistic phase. This is where the Galaxy Map gets its color, its depth, priming and waxing. First up, apply a deep penetrating primer over the whole sanded surface. Let that soak in and dry completely. This seals the plaster and gets it ready for the wax. Then comes the fun part, the decorative wax. The video mentions using Cere Velboy wax specifically. And you tint this wax yourself using pigments or colorants, the kind you'd normally use for, like acrylic paints. This is where you choose your colors, bring your galaxy to life. But hold on, before you go slathering it everywhere, the video wisely says, test IT. Find a hidden spot, like behind where a sofa will go, or maybe in a corner, and test out your tinted wax. Check the color saturation. Is it deep enough? Too deep? Adjust your tint until you get exactly the look you want. You really don't want surprises halfway across your main wall, right? Okay, test done, color's good. The video shows applying the tinted wax directly onto that primed surface. But wait, there's a really interesting choice you can make here, depending on the final effect you're after.
Yeah, this brings up a really important decision point for anyone trying this. What final look are you actually going for? See, if you want the tinted wax to go on really lightly, maybe you want to be able to smudge it around easily or even wash some of it off for a softer, more kind of translucent effect. Then the tutorial suggests a clever extra step. After priming, but before the tinted wax, you apply a layer of clear, untinted wax first. Let that clear wax dry completely. What that does is it sort of seals the primer a bit more. So when you put the tinted wax on top, it doesn't soak in as fast or as deep. It stays more on the surface, making it easier to blend, soften, manipulate. If you skip the clear wax, that tinted wax goes straight into the primer, absorbs quickly, and gives you a much bolder, more saturated color. It's harder to soften. So clear wax first for subtle, no clear wax for bold. It's purely about your design goal.
That's a fantastic insight. It really shows how technique choices directly link to the artistic outcome you want. It's not just one way to do it. It's about tailoring it to your vision. And just like putting the plaster on, the video points out that applying the wax can also be a really fun, maybe even collaborative job. Get everyone involved with sponges or claws, dabbing, wiping, creating that final textured, colored look. Sounds like a good way to finish the project, actually. So there we have it. We've walked through the whole journey of creating this Galaxy Map plaster, from tweaking those brooms to applying the plaster, getting the circles just right, then the sanding, the cleaning, all the way to that final artistic waxing stage. And the end result, as you can see in the video, it's this vibrant, really durable surface. Importantly, it's not prickly and the color doesn't rub off. It looks seriously professional, but achieved with pretty accessible stuff. So what's the big takeaway here? I think this deep dive really highlights how, everyday materials like brooms and basic plaster can be transformed into something amazing with just a bit of clever thinking and technique. It's about seeing potential where maybe you wouldn't expect it, and realizing creativity is often about adapting what you have. It also makes you appreciate the mix of practical skill and artistry involved, doesn't it? You need precision with the tools. You need to understand the timing of the materials. The open time.
Exactly. The open time. And then you have all those artistic choices with the circles, the color, the waxing technique. All those things come together to create something really unique and personal. It's that blend of technical craft and creative flair. Now, if you want to actually see this whole thing happen, and honestly you should, it makes it all click, you can find the original video easily. Just search YouTube for Aoga. That's Karta. GalakTiki. These step-by-step methods just waiting for someone to take a closer look, do a deep dive, and figure them out. Always more to uncover, isn't there?